Being sovereign in court, part 2. Let's talk about it. All right, being sovereign in court. So in my last video, I purposely didn't answer a lot of questions because I wanted to see what y'all's feedback would be and what ideas y'all came up with, and y'all had a lot of great ones. Now, I want you to pause and read this real quick. Now, the only reason for a judge ever is because there was a dispute in the public that could not be handled between the two parties. And 99% of the time, when you go in front of the judge, he's just an administrator and he is there to judge between the two parties' disputes. Now, you can bring your own law in, but most of the time they are reading off the public codes, laws, and statutes and ordinances that the claimant or plaintiff brings before the judge. Now, it was a trick question in my last video because that guy was so hemmed up in jurisdiction from the very beginning. So most of y'all don't know this, but your first court case is actually held between you and the police officer on the road. And if you watch some of my videos and you understand how to maintain sovereignty while traveling and stuff like that, you will understand that he had given up jurisdiction from the jump when he got hemmed up by the police. When he went to see the judge, he most likely did not reserve his rights before passing the bar. When you pass the bar, you are entering into a foreign jurisdiction. You can look at the flag that they are flying that gives you an idea of what type of environment they're in. Usually it's an Admiralty Maritime, and that's why the flag is infringed. So you always want to reserve your rights before you enter into the bar. And then you never want to make statements. You always want to ask questions because you are the king. You are not the subject. That is how they get jurisdiction over you very quickly, by making you answer questions. You don't want to answer questions. You want to ask the questions. So had the guy been truly sovereign, he would have given notification to all the jurisdictions that he's traveling through. He would have had all of his ducks in order on his car, and he would have had no issues with the police at all. Now, had the police officer tried to put a contract on him, that is when you can do some private administrative procedure on the paperwork in order to discharge or set off the debt, and you won't even have to go to court. In common law, as long as there is no injured party, there is no way that they can bring a case against you if you maintain your sovereignty. Now, when a cop writes a ticket, that is basically the ledgering of an account. Everybody thinks a court case is so personal because they get loved ones locked up or they can face doing time, but it is simply just an account. And from the very beginning, when you get booked or you get ledgered by a ticket, it is a ledgering of an account that now needs to be satisfied somehow through money. A lot of people love to offer up their body as surety on the account that has to be ledgered while the bonds are maturing, but I don't suggest doing that. Every court case in criminal matters has a bid bond, a performance bond, and a payment bond that needs to be satisfied. That's why it's almost impossible to get someone out of jail once the trust has been expressed and the bonds have been executed and they're starting to mature. So here comes that maxim again. You control what you create. The state created the birth certificate, the U.S. citizen. They are trying to get you to admit that you are the U.S. citizen because that is what they have jurisdiction over. They do not have jurisdiction over you, the sovereign. They have jurisdiction over what they created, what they own. Most likely, the judge was just simply trying to make an example out of that gentleman because they had jurisdiction over him the entire time from start to finish. Now, he could have said something like, oh, I'm doing official trust business. That's what the trust was cashing a check and doing that. That would have tripped the judge up some, but like I said, he had jurisdiction over him the entire time.